the government has announced a relaxation of the rules allowing wealthy foreign investors to purchase a home in New Zealand, and the move represents a rollback of an outright foreign buyers ban brought in by the Labour New Zealand First government. Chris Hipkins, the Labour leader, was a part of that decision, and he joins us now to tell us whether or not, I suppose. Good morning, Chris Hipkins. Would Labour pull this back, or would you tax them?
Christopher Luxon's made his priorities clear. He's rolling out the red carpet for wealthy foreign home buyers, while New Zealand home buyers are struggling with the rise of cost of living and seeing the prospect of home ownership rapidly evaporating in front of them. I think it shows that the government's priorities are just wrong.
But would you, in government, if you had the opportunity, would you pull this back? Would you reverse it? Or would you look maybe to optimise it by taxing it?
We'll have a very close look at this in government. One of the challenges is under a lot of our free trade agreements, once a change like this is made and buying Kiwi homes is opened up to foreign home buyers, it'll be very difficult to reverse without breaching some of our trade agreements, the consequences of which could be quite significant for New Zealand. It's another reason why the government are wrong to make this change that they're proposing to make. They're ultimately going to be potentially opening up New Zealand homes to foreign home buyers in a way that will be irreversible.
Irreversible, but maybe quite good for the investment community as well, and for businesses that are trying to grow. We heard, Robbie Ball from Icehouse Ventures saying, "Hey, this is sort of open door introductions to some of the most connected people in Silicon Valley and other places." Why is that not part of this consideration, as well as what it might do to house prices?
The Labour Party's position is crystal clear. Kiwi homes should be for Kiwi home buyers. The government aren't making this just about people who want to invest in New Zealand businesses. Someone can put their money into New Zealand bonds, buy a house here which they live in for a couple of weeks of the year, and that would be okay according to this government. That isn't going to grow the New Zealand economy. It isn't going to create jobs for New Zealanders. The spin machine that they put out there yesterday isn't matched by the reality of what they're trying to do here.
All right. You were Health Minister for about 4 months, I think, when in government. I think it was about 2020. Any sympathy at all for Simeon Brown today as the nurses go out on strike?
No sympathy for Simeon Brown. The government's decided that board directors should get an 80% pay increases and nurses should get nothing. Nurses have a right to feel aggrieved by that. They do a pretty hard job and the health system won't function without nurses. So I think Simeon Brown needs to really get back around the table and make nurses a credible and serious offer.
If we look back, though, I think I remember hearing Paul Golter, the Secretary of the Nurses Organisation, saying this is years and years of unpaid overtime that has contributed to this feeling of overwork. And that years of years then would suggest that we're back into the territory when you had some responsibility for this. Do you take any responsibility for where we're at with this?
I take absolute responsibility for the fact that under our government, the number of nurses that we trained and recruited went up significantly. We were dealing with nurses' workload issues by getting more nurses into our hospitals.
And then they went off to Australia.
And said that was this government came in and said that that was wasteful spending, and they've cut back on the investment in nurses in hospitals. Is it any wonder that nurses are feeling aggrieved by that?
So there's an important part of their contracts which deals with making sure that there is adequate staffing in there. Do you think that was looked after under your term there?
When we came government in 2017, we inherited a safe staffing model from the national government that they had signed up to and made no effort to implement. We worked to recruit the extra nurses to implement that. That's one of the things that's now being undone by this national government. They say they want safe staffing around nursing, but they do the opposite.
Look, we've got a by-election going here in Tāmaki Makaurau in Auckland, if you haven't noticed. Have you been out on the hustings at all supporting Peeni Henare?
I have been out on the hustings with Peeni Henare. He's doing an amazing job as our Labour candidate. I'm actually heading up to Auckland again this afternoon, and I'll be with him earlier this evening and tomorrow. Peeni's focused his campaign on the core issues that Labour's campaigning on across the country: jobs, health, homes, re-election on the cost of living, and he's doing a fantastic job.
Pretty weak turnout, though, on the early voting, which was what everybody's been encouraged to do in that Māori electorate for sort of a week and a half now. Does that help Labour in this circumstance for a change?
My message to the voters of Tāmaki Makaurau is make sure your voice gets heard in this by-election campaign. Vote while you still can. If you want to send a signal that we need to change the government at the next election, vote for Peeni Henare at this election.
You, as a party, on every poll anyone can look at and respect, would need Pāti Māori support in the next government. Does that change the tenor of how you've been campaigning as a party in this race?
In the Māori electorates, we're competing for every vote we can. Labour has always vigorously contested the Māori electorates, and we will be doing that at the next general election as well. It's far too early to be talking about what a future government might look like. My focus right now is getting every single vote for Labour that I possibly can. And my message to all New Zealanders, whether you're in Tāmaki Makaurau or elsewhere around the country, is if you want to get rid of this government at the next election, vote Labour.
Yeah, but it's been pretty nicey. I think I even saw the Pāti Māori candidate, Orani Kaipara, saying that she thought Peeni Henare should have your job basically, should be leader of the Labour Party and possibly a future Prime Minister. What do you make of that?
Well, Peeni Henare is certainly a strong leader within Māoridom and would be a strong voice for Tāmaki Makaurau, which is why I think the voters of Tāmaki Makaurau should elect him as their MP. I like the fact that in the Māori electorates they contest them vigorously, but actually with a more polite and respectful campaign. That's something that generally characterises the contest in the Māori electorates. I think probably the rest of us could learn a bit from that.
Right, I need to let you go because you're a busy man, but just wanted to touch briefly on the Ipsos poll that popped out this week. Sort of 17 out of 20 issues. They indicated that Labour was ahead of the coalition on that. You say it's too early to be talking about what sort of coalition arrangements might be in place, but what comfort do you take from that if people are seeing you as a party that can respond to cost of living issues?
I think New Zealanders can see that under this government, under Christopher Luxon's leadership, things are getting worse, not better. He promised to get the country back on track, and in fact the economy feels more derailed than it ever has before. And I think that that's being reflected in the fact that voters are already looking around for an alternative, and they're liking what they see from the Labour Party.
Well, or they're just not liking what they haven't seen, and what would you do? What different would if we spin the wheel of misfortune there and we're whacking the banks one week and the supermarkets the other, what would you do materially to change that cost of living day one?
The feedback that I've been getting from voters is they do like the fact that Labour's been on the ground engaging with New Zealanders. We have absolutely said that we didn't get everything right last time we were in government and that there are changes that we will need to make next time so that we are responding to the issues that matter to New Zealanders. So we have said jobs, health, homes, cost of living are our absolute priorities, and that's resonating with New Zealanders, and you can see that reflected in that polling. But we're taking nothing for granted. We know we're going to have to earn every single vote we can get so that we can form government after the next election.